Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has arrived at New York in the United States of America for the 78th United Nations General Assembly. President Tinubu landed at the John F. Kennedy Airport on Monday and was received by Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Tuggar, the permanent representative of Nigeria to the United Nations Tijjani Muhammad-Bande, and other government officials. The theme for this year's United Nations General Assembly is Building Trust and Reigniting Global Solidarity, accelerating action on the 2030 Agenda and its sustainable development goals towards peace, prosperity, progress, and sustainability for all. Meanwhile, the Nigerian president will deliver his inaugural address on September 19, which is the first day of the high-level general debate of the Assembly. Well, Alesta Wilcox, an international affairs analyst, joins me now to look at this development and discuss more on this. Alesta, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can. What specific, diplomatic or economic gain can Nigeria expect from President Tinubu's participation at that 78th session of the UN General Assembly?
Well, talking about the General Assembly, it's not for economic or political economic gain. It is mainly for political position, for political gain, because it is where every leader will be expected to show or showcase his own ideas towards the theme of the conference. Let's call it an annual ritual, because that is the gathering of heads of state. Apart from this gathering, the United Nations have agencies from which they work, which every other person work from, and all that. So this is just a kind of showmanship period once a year, when every president comes in to deliver a speech as to show his own agenda towards the objective or the theme of that particular year's conference. It is not an economic gathering per se. It's rather of a political gathering where nations come to show strength, show their positions, canvass their positions towards international diplomacy and world peace. Remember, United Nations is set up for world peace and world order. So countries come there, presidents come there to canvass their own positions with respect to such agenda. Now, apart from the General Assembly, at the sideline, that is where businesses take place. Now, at the sideline is where a lot of businesses will take place. I mean, that is why when the president is going, he will go with a lot of other persons for which there will be bilateral relations and bilateral discussions.
To our next question, I mean, President Bola Tinubu of Nigeria has, started a trend on his part of meeting with Nigerians in the diaspora where he travels to. He went to India and he met with the Nigerian community there. It's expected that he will engage with the Nigerian community in the United States of America. So how would this engagement with the Nigerian community in the USA strengthen the relationship between, or contribute to strengthening the relationship between the Nigerian diaspora and the country and their contributions to Nigerian national development? What potential benefits can this yield for the country?
Well, I'm sorry about my network. It's a bit bad here. I'm sorry. I think it's from my own end, not your own end. So let me apologize to the viewers. So I didn't get their last question. Can you please come with the question again, please?
All right. President Tinubu is expected to interact with and engage with the Nigerian community in the United States of America. What benefits do you think lie in this diaspora engagement the president embarks on each time he travels out of the country?
Of course, very apt at this time. Remember, this is one of the most acrimoniously fought elections in our national history, in our electoral history. One of the most acrimoniously fought elections, and the diaspora community played a major role, especially against the candidacy of this president. We must not shy away from that fact, that the diaspora community played a very major role against his candidacy, against his election. So this is an important opportunity, especially those in the United States and in the Western Hemisphere. They played a major role. So when the president goes out like this, he is bound to seize the opportunity to sell his vision, to really talk to them, because he needs everybody on board. He needs quite everybody on board, no matter those who are against him, those who are for him. So being in New York and in the Western Hemisphere, as he is now, affords us opportunity to have that engagement so that they will begin to understand most of the problems we have in Nigeria today, most of the negative vibes we have, does not come from within. Rather, it comes from those from the diaspora. And I keep saying this. It is this diaspora community that missell Nigeria, that undersell Nigeria, that give Nigeria a bad sell. Look at most of the bloggers that are in the United States, in Canada, in other countries. You don't see them say anything good about Nigeria. All they talk is woes. They just make a jest, caricature of Nigeria, of their leadership. But they're Nigerians, because they are opportune to be in the West, in the US, in Canada, in the UK, and other places. You see them talk down about the country. So there's no limit to such engagement. I will plead with the president. I will appreciate him. Go to New York, go to other places, and speak to them. Sell his manifesto to them. Come down to their level, because we need everybody on board. Nigeria needs to have that good image. And who is those giving the bad? It is this diaspora community. They just sit out there, because using those places to benchmark Nigeria and begin to say all kinds of stuff about Nigeria.
Alesta, thank you. Let's look at Nigeria's leadership on the African continent. I mean, in what ways do you expect or suspect President Tinubu's presence, and his performance, the way he carries himself at this high-level gathering called the United Nations General Assembly, even though there are other African leaders there as well? But how do you think his participation will enhance Nigeria's standing, and influence on the African continent and within the international community, particularly in terms of African affairs and regional stability?
Very powerful country of the world. The world will not joke with Nigeria, because it's the most populous black nation, the biggest economy in Africa. So that stands out for Nigeria, no matter who is the president or who rules Nigeria. That will always stand out and speak for Nigeria, and indeed for Africa. Now, Nigeria today is the chairman of ECOWAS. So that, again, is another advantage. And some of the crisis that's happening is happening in ECOWAS. So the way it will rub off on Africa is the kind of message the president takes to the United Nations. Now, the tone of his message, I hope the drafters of this message will take into cognizance the fact that Africa at this point is on trial before the world, eyes of the world. Today, the gains Africa made with democracy are all being rubbished out. And that is against the stand of the United Nations. So an African leader that will galvanize in his speech the positions that will appeal to the West and to make them more active in intervening into African affairs positively is what is required here. And Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not somebody that is lacking in words or lacking in wisdom in delivering his messages. He has always delivered a watertight message that people will see and they will look at it again. So I want to believe that the directors of his speech, that his speech is going to deliver on that assembly, will resonate in the minds of this audience, and then they will see a reason why the world needs not to leave Africa, but intervene positively. And again, remove all those tongas of colonization that still hang, that is creating some of the stability. Now, some of the instability we have in Africa is still a fallout of colonization, for which we've had a flag, according to Awolowo, a flag and anthem independence, but yet the colonial power still hold still have the string. Still pull the string at every point. So some of the messages must go out. And Nigeria is always the leader. And that leadership will remain for a long time, no matter who is president, no matter the circumstances.
All right. Alesta, thank you so much for your time. I hate so much to interrupt you there, but we have to go. You see, Nigeria will always remain a leader as far as the African continent is concerned. Alesta Wilcox, African Affairs Analyst, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me. I'm sorry for the glitches that we had. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Very much.